Your Honor, we would now like to proceed with our evidence by calling Bonnie Martin to the witness stand.
Raise your right hand.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth to the best of your knowledge about the judge? You may be seated.
Bonnie, could you give us your full name and be sure to kind of speak up so that we can all hear you?
Bonnie C. Martin.
All right. And I don't enjoy asking this, but what is your age and date of birth?
I am 53, and I was born in 1960.
All right. And where do you live? What city do you live in?
I live in Lowell, Indiana.
All right. Do you have any children?
I have 3 sons.
And what are their names and ages?
Nathaniel's turning 30. He's the oldest. Benjamin would be turning 29, and then Nicholas would be 27.
All right. What's your educational background?
Well, I graduated high school and I'm in college right now, studying psychology, and I'm on the dean's list
And where are you attending college?
at Purdue.
Is that a full-time student or part-time?
I'm a full-time student.
All right. And what type of degree are you going to obtain?
Psychology.
Are you employed at the present time?
I am employed. I work at, right now it's called Stratton Bento in the deli.
And how many days a week do you work there?
I work 3 days a week there.
How many years approximately have you worked at a deli?
And we're coming up on, I believe it's 14. I started in 1999.
All right. And can you just describe briefly what kind of work you do at a deli?
It's customer service mainly, but making everybody happy. But I slice lunch meat and change bowls, go in and out of freezers and coolers to replace and restock product that we sell out of that has to be restocked out front for the customers.
All right. What's your current rate of pay?
I currently make $9.35 an hour.
And does that include any other benefits?
I have benefits.
All right.
Yes, I do. I have, vacation pay, and I don't know exactly what you're looking for as far as benefits go, but I have coverage.
So back in March 26th of 2009, were you employed as a deli clerk at that time?
Yes.
Do you enjoy the work that you're doing?
I enjoy people. I don't enjoy the work I do right now. I mean, I enjoy the customers. It's in a cold place, so it does bother my fingers now, and I am in college to get out of that job and pursue a better job.
When do you expect to complete your college degree?
Well, in 2 more years, I'll have my bachelor's, but then I would like to have a master's. I would like to be a counselor. And I'll have to go, they say, about another 3 years to get a master's, so a total of 5.
I want to come back to your job and how you might be affected by what happened to you in this particular case. But first, let's go to the situation where you were hurt at Fuel Fitness. How did you come to be a member at Fuel Fitness?
Well, I was a member of a gym called Body Right, and Jared started a new gym, and he bought out the memberships of Body Right, so I was grandfathered into the new gym.
All right. What was your general purpose of being a member of Body Right and then Fuel Fitness? Why did you do that?
It was important for me to stay in shape. I knew the health benefits of working out cardiovascular, muscle-wise. The older you get, you need to build muscle because muscles burn more calories per hour than fat. And, you know, as a girl, you think about those things, plus you want to live long. And I did take a personal training course, so I knew the importance. I studied the physiological things that happen in your body when you don't work out. You don't have as long of a life expectancy. So it was for healthy to be healthy and, of course, look good.
Okay. Now, did you have any desire yourself to be involved in fitness training or anything like
I
that?
became a certified personal trainer.
All right. So was tanning one of your prime reasons for going to Fuel Fitness?
No.
How did you get involved in tanning?
Just thought I'd try it. I hadn't tanned before there, and I don't have a lot of color naturally, and it was a way that I just would think it to treat myself. It was relaxing. Just thought I'd try it.
All right. So before you were hurt on March 26, 2009, do you have an estimate of approximately how many times you had tanned at that facility?
I really don't remember. I could give an estimate. I think I said like 15 times. I do remember that you had to buy a tanning package, and I would have bought a package, and then you would let the girl at the desk know. There was always somebody different. It seemed like working the desk. But they went to a computer screen, and they did something that debited what you had bought so they could keep track on when you would need to buy more. But I would think they would have those records, maybe.
All right. Were you a paying customer at the time of your injury?
Yes, sir.
Can you describe for us what, if any, instructions you were given before you first started to do any tanning there?
I hadn't tanned before, so one of the girls behind the counter, I don't remember who, like I said, there was different girls that worked behind that counter. I remember instructions, like you had to set a timer, and the girl told me to, push the button once you're inside, and it makes the lights come on that give you a tan, and grab the handles at the top to make sure your sides tan evenly.
Was there a discussion of eye protection?
Oh yes, you had to have goggles, and I didn't tan before, so I bought goggles. They were hard plastic goggles with a little elastic strap that went around the back of your head.
Okay. Do you know for certain if you got the goggles there, or are you not sure?
Well, I don't have a receipt to prove it, but I don't know how I would have gotten them somewhere else. I hadn't tanned anywhere else before. It would make sense that I would have gotten them there.
Right. Now, when you had those goggles and used them, how did they impact your vision?
Well, they were hard little plastic discs that fit over your eye, and like your eyeball was like crunched into them. And so your vision was obscured to some degree. I mean, there was like little red tints on them, so you could see something, but they were to protect your eyes. They made you sign up paper about the ultraviolet rays and the dangers of them, so you had to be protected.
There's more than one vertical tanning booth at Fuel Fitness,
I
correct?
believe so.
The one that you were in when you were hurt, do you know if you had used that one before, or do you have any knowledge of which one you'd used the most?
I just know that when you would go ask to tan, sometimes there was a person in a bed and you'd have to wait. I used the stand-up tanning beds, so I would take the one that was open if there was someone in another one. So I guess it would depend on which bed was available, which one of those two were available.
Can you describe for us the rooms that you would go into for tanning purposes?
Well, it was a separate room,
Okay.
and you would open a door and you could close the door behind you and get ready to tan. And it was this room.
Did you have privacy in that room?
Yeah.
And could you lock the door?
Yes.
Now, when you're engaged in tanning, what would the temperature be like in the room?
Well, I suppose the same as the temperature in the gym. I mean, it's part of the gym. The room was just a room.
Okay.
And they had a box fan on the floor.
Well, I haven't been there for a long time, and the jury hasn't been there at all. Just tell us generally, in the Fuel Fitness at Cedar Lake, is there a gym? Is it next to the tanning rooms, or what's the layout? Just generally.
Well, when you walk in, well, I think it's a big gym. There's equipment clang, banging. There's music that usually plays there, and you hear a lot of voices. You have guys dropping weights, and the kids coming and going from the nursery. Just conversations and people passing, and then you go down a hallway. The tanning beds are down a hallway a little bit from the main gym, and there's something else on the other end of that hallway, another business, and then you would just choose which room, whatever room they told you to go into, you would go into.
Right. So there'd be music that would be playing occasionally? Did they have TVs that would be playing?
I believe so. If you're upstairs on the cardio machines, there was things you could watch up there.
Okay. Were there treadmills that would be running?
Oh, sure.
Now, when you got to the room on this particular day, had you done a workout before going to the room?
Yes, I did.
Describe in general what you were doing before going to the tanning room.
Well, I would have done a workout. What I did that day, I don't remember, but it would be like a 45-minute workout. I would have worked a muscle group to build some strength. I would have done some cardio. I like the stair climber. I could have done that day. I would have incorporated those different things. And then some stretches when you cool down. And then I went to tan.
All right. Did you have to get any special permission to tan that day, or did you just go to tan?
No, well, as far as permission, I'd already bought a tanning package, so you just had to let them know that you were going in, and it could just be a nod to the girl that was behind there.
Okay. Now, yesterday we saw a video inside one of the tanning rooms, and there was a little fan in there. Was there usually a little fan in the tanning rooms? On the floor?
I remember a box fan on the floor.
And would those be operating when you were in the room?
Yes.
So the day that this happened to you, you told us you did the exercise workout, and then you went into the tanning room. Tell us what you did kind of up until the point just before you were hurt.
Well, I did what you do. You go in the room, you close the door, and you lock it. And you set your bag down, you get the stuff out of the bag you need. You take your clothes off and put on lotion, put on your goggles.
Okay. So you did all that, and then did you get in to start doing the tanning?
Yes.
All right. Tell us what you remember as to getting hurt.
Well, I did what the girl behind the desk told me to do when she told me how to tan, because I hadn't tanned before. I followed what I was told to do. And you set a timer, and you go in, and you push a button, and it turns things on, and there's noises. And you just, the lights that come on give you the tan. And once you push that button to make those lights come on, you reach for handles to let your sides tan evenly. And I had set the timer, and I pushed the button, and I reached for the right handle, and I reached for the left handle, and I didn't feel it the first time, and I reached again. And I thought I was elected. I just knew something happened that wasn't good, and I said, don't look. And I went out of the booth, and I went to the door, and I opened the door, and I said, I need help, and I closed the door because I realized I was naked, and I was trying to get some clothes on to cover myself. And then I ran back to the door, and that's when I saw blood running down the door, and I called again, and I said, I need help. And then Pete came to help.
So you said, who came?
People.
Pete.
People.
People, okay. Now, and obviously it's uncomfortable for you to kind of repeat that.
I hate it when I have to remember it.
You said you described it as kind of a shock or an electric shock, but you didn't know exactly what had happened.
I didn't know what happened. I thought I was electrocuted. I did not know what happened. I just knew it wasn't good, and don't look and get help. I thought I had been electrocuted.
Did people come to your assistance at some point?
After the second call for help,
How were you feeling at that time?
I was trembling and shaking, and I guess it was like a shock. Just kind of things were like kind of surreal. Like I didn't know what had just happened, and I was just trembling.
Were you able to get yourself covered with some clothing of some sort?
I did. Thankfully, they're gym clothes that are stretchy. In my right hand, I was able to stretch them over me.
What happened next?
I remember people coming and putting a towel on my hand to catch the blood. I just don't remember a whole lot after that. I remember people there. I remember an ambulance guy coming. I remember I was shaken. My memory is blotchy after it happened. And I remember getting to the emergency room, and the worst thing, it was hurting, and they had to take my ring finger off, my wedding ring, and I said, please don't take my ring off. And they said, if we don't, your fingers are going to swell, and we're going to have to cut your ring off. So the finger, and they had to take my ring off, but that finger, that was all bloody, and the nail was messed up, and that hurt really badly. I remember that really clearly.
The one that was hurt the worst, let's focus on that. The finger that had the nail hurt the worst. That was your ring finger.
Yes.
And they said that you had to take the ring off even though it was injured at the end of the finger?
Well, he said my fingers are going to swell. There was an injury to the fingers, and everything that suffered trauma, there's going to be swelling from that. And they said if they didn't take it off now, they would have to cut it off later. So he took it off.
What was your pain like before they did that? I mean, if you could give us just a rundown of how you were feeling pain-wise until you got to the hospital and you removed that ring.
Well, at first, like I said, I wasn't sure what happened. I thought I was electrocuted, and I just remember numbing. I just remember shaking. I remember it hurting, but it seemed it hurt more as time went on, if that makes any sense. I don't know, maybe it's because I was more aware of things then, and I was not trembling. People were talking to me in the emergency room, and they had given me some pain medicines. And, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Well, in terms of your pain level, like on a scale of 1 to 10, what was your pain
I
level?
would say it was off the charts. And I remember when I went to the surgeon, and he bandaged it. And I'd have to go back to have my bandages changed. And I would just stop and he'd come in the room and I'd say, please wait. And I'd say, please wait. And then I would apologize to him. I'd say, I'm sorry, I know you got to do your job. I said, I hate it when you take the bandages off because it hurts. And he stepped back on the counter and he said, would you please quit apologizing? And he said,
Objection.
level, the
Objection.
surgeon told me.
Man. There's an objection. Answer your question so I can rule on the objection. What was the objection again, Counsel?
Hearsay.
Sustained.
Excruciating pain.
Yeah.
What was I objected to?
Wait till
Okay.
Okay.
In terms of the pain that you were describing to the doctor, he reassured you at some point that you still had to take the bandages off?
Yeah,
And did you go ahead and do that?
I had to.
Now, what doctor was that?
Malchesky?
At some point you had some surgery. Was he the one that did the surgery?
Yes.
And about how long after the incident did he start doing surgery?
I'd say approximately, I think it was 3 days afterwards.
Right. I want to show you from the exhibit book, Exhibit 2-3, Exhibit 2-3-1, and we have it up on the screen if it's easier for you to see that. Now the finger that is bandaged, the second from your small finger, is that the one where the nail was pulled away?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the one that the surgical procedure was done to reattach the nail?
Yes.
The other finger next to that, can you describe what happened to that?
I believe they said that was fractured.
Which finger? I'm sorry, Counsel.
Is it the index finger? Or which finger is it that was fractured? Do you recall?
This one?
Okay.
The ring finger?
No.
Third finger. Now, that two fingers that we see in the photograph, those were the ones that were affected. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
All right. Now, the doctor that did the surgery was, can you pronounce the name again?
Malchesky?
Malchesky. We have his records that are Exhibit 4. And I'd like to refer to the fourth page of that exhibit that I have on the screen. This is the doctor's notes. He says, impression implant, left ring finger avulsion and nail bed laceration. We will make arrangements to mix this. This is particularly uncomfortable procedure post-operatively, and this was stressed to her. Could you explain what your understanding was after speaking with the doctor as to the discomfort that would be associated with that procedure?
Your Honor, just so it's her understanding and not what she's telling us the doctor said.
You understand that, ma'am? Just what you understood, not what the doctor told you.
May I ask you a question?
Ask your lawyer.
Bonnie, what the judge is telling you, don't repeat the words specifically that the doctor said, but What I'm asking you is what your understanding was after having the meeting with the doctor and deciding to go forward with the procedure.
I had no other choice. And the nail that had to be reconstructed. And there were risks with any surgery. And the pain would be excruciating 3 to 4 times out of childbirth because all the nerve endings are in the end of your fingers.
You further notes here, the risks otherwise were outlined, including bleeding, infection, scarring, nail deformity, chronic pain, and stiffness.
Yes.
When you went through the procedure, you ended up with some scarring. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll go through that. But you also ended up with nail deformity.
Yes.
Did you get an infection at all?
I don't believe I did. He took very good care of it. The bandages being changed.
All right, so you had that procedure in the office, or where was the procedure at?
It was in St. Anthony's Hospital.
All right, so Exhibit 5 is the St. Anthony Hospital operative report. All right, this particular report starts out with a history. The patient is a 49-year-old female with avulsion of the nail plate, nail bed laceration, and distal phalanx fracture of the left ring finger. Is a distal phalanx fracture, is that the ring finger that was fractured? Or do you...
It would have been the finger next to the ring finger that was fractured. This nail bed was the one that was tore out.
Okay. Do you know if it was also fractured as well as the nail bed?
It was the worst injury was on the nail bed that was tore up. I just remember a fracture. I think it was the finger next to that was fractured.
Okay. All right, the doctor goes on and describes the procedure. Says the nail plate was still adherent to the digit. It was removed with freer elevator after hemostasis was obtained with Penrose drain at the digital base of the tourniquet. Lacerations to the nail bed were sharply debrided back to the healthy tissue with the distally based flap of the nail bed tissue which Oval's bone fragments were with it. These were all reduced under direct vision and the nail bed then repaired with interrupted sutures of 5-0 and 6-0 chromic gut. The nail plate was then placed back in the fold after being windowed to allow for egress of blood. Sterile dressing was then applied. The patient tourniquet was removed. So when you were completed with the surgery, did you have a bandage then around that finger?
Yes, they were for a while.
When you were telling us earlier about the pain of changing bandages, was it before the surgery that you were having the pain, or was it after the surgery, or was it both?
It was both. It was, after surgery was bad too. It was painful all the way around.
Okay. When you just had the bandages on, let's say you had the bandages on and you're just sitting comfortably, was there still pain associated?
Yes, I was doing prescriptions, but he told me if I needed to make sure I kept my hand above the heart.
Hearsay.
Please, counsel.
What's that?
I just asked that the witness not say what someone else told him.
I'm asking you is not to tell us what people are telling you, but how you were feeling. So tell us again the pain level when, you've told us about the pain level when the bandages were changed. I want to know about the pain level between changes of the bandages.
Well, it was, they tried to moderate it with medication, and at first I had to adjust to it. I was vomiting the one time, and I had a decrease and increase until I found what was right for me. And I had to keep my hand elevated above my heart, even with the pain meds, because there was times it would throb, because all the nerve endings were damaged.
All right.
And I remember I was hungry and I couldn't open a can of tuna fish. I never realized I missed my left hand. After I was home after the accident, I was so hungry, and my husband was at work, and I couldn't drive, and I couldn't even open a can of tuna to eat because I had to hold the can with my left hand. And I just never realized you use your left hand as much as you do until you don't use your right hand until you don't have it to use.
What is your dominant hand?
My right hand.
Were you kept off of work while you were recuperating from the surgery?
Yes.
And approximately how long were you kept off of work?
3 months.
It looks like from our records here, Exhibit 4, the last visit to Dr. How do you say it again? Malcheski was November 1909. Is that about right?
And if that's what the records say, then it could be right. Yeah.
Okay. He makes a reference. She denies complaints other than cold intolerance. Her finger feels stiff, but she can move it normally. She does relate that it doesn't take very long to be in the freezer or at work or out in the cold before the fingers start to ache, which is expected and predictable. Can you tell us around that time in November what you were experiencing with the fingers aching relative to cold?
Well, in November, temperatures start changing, and they hurt in the cold. In the deli counter when I worked, holding the cold lunch meat or going in on the freezer to restock, they would start throbbing and aching. But, you do what you got to do, and it was my job.
Well, this is time period November of 09. Right now we're in April of 2013. Do you still have that?
I still have it, and this last winter, anywhere, scraping ice off your windows, things you can't avoid, you have to function. I have to clean ice off my windows, and even with gloves on, my fingers will just ache incredibly when it's cold out. The winters are terrible.
Now he says in this note, impression and plan, fingertip injuries, cold intolerance likely will be permanent. This could still be present 20 years down the road, although perhaps slightly abated. She is cautioned in regard to that. She is greater risk for frostbite, and she should be mindful of that and not dismissive. As you were just describing, you wear gloves in the wintertime?
Yes.
And does you still get the pain that you described to us with gloves?
Yes.
And you tried, is there anything that you can do when the temperature is cold outside, in addition to wearing gloves, that can give you any relief?
I haven't found it. Gloves is all I know to wear.
Okay. this is what we have on the screen from Exhibit 4 is in June of '09. And let's see, he says, as far as her nail growth goes, she will need 2 nail growths, which are each 3 to 4 months in length before we can really assess long-term issues for any potential for nail deformity. Can you tell us, through this time period after the surgery, was your nail growing? What was your nail like? Was it just, or was it, how do you describe it? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Well, it was growing. It feels like pins and needles in it. After the surgery, I always have a feeling of pins and needles in it, like your foot fell asleep. But the nail grew, but it grew differently. Like it grew like from where he adhered it, because he reconstructed the nail bed, like the white grew out like way down, farther than a nail would have white growing out, if that makes sense. Like when your tip starts leaving where the blood flow is in your nail, because of the way the nail bed was reconstructed. And I must keep that nail short so it doesn't get caught on anything, to prevent, because of the way it was adhered, if that nail were to get caught on anything, it would be excruciating pain. Like have you ever lost a nail where a nail gets bent back or pulled back and it hurts? That finger, because of the way it is adhered, it can't get long, because if it gets caught on anything, it would be excruciating pain. So I keep it very short.
Can you do anything cosmetically to put any kind of an artificial type nail on?
I don't think it would not be wise to glue something to something, because something longer could easily get caught. I just don't take a chance, because I know what pain is there and I don't want it again.
Okay. Okay, I'm referring to 2-2 in your exhibit book. I'll put it on the screen quickly here. Okay, we have 2 fingers on the screen. On the left-hand side of the screen, as we're looking towards it, this is the nail that was reconstructed?
Yes.
Okay, so the white part of the nail starts kind of halfway coming up from the nail?
Yes.
And you keep it trimmed back so it doesn't extend over the edge of the finger?
I keep it shorter than that now. That was before I went back to work and I had the
Okay.
leisure of being around the house.
Okay. When you're describing the sensation and cold, and you describe pain and discomfort, does it extend from the tip of the finger back to a certain level, or can you describe that for us?
Well, I just know the fingers ache. I guess maybe down to the middle joint, just like the end of the fingers, just.
Down to the middle joint?
Yeah, because that's what I can think the lunch meat plane when I'm slicing lunch meat, or when I'm slicing and something cold I have to hang on to, or when I'm scraping the windows in the winter, those fingers just ache and throb, especially that one with the nail bed reconstruction.
Okay. This is another view of the same finger. Right now, the temperature in this room is probably 72 or something. Do you experience any discomfort right now?
Well, it just feels like pins and needles all the time, no matter whether it's warm or cold. There's that numb feeling. And I usually hold it to make it better. I don't know why. I'm holding it now to make it a little warmer. So it is more sensitive to anything. Air-conditioned rooms, even, I can feel it.
Now, is one of the... do you have any bending, deformity in the hand or finger?
Yes, these two bend in towards each other. And this knuckle is concave, like down, and it's bulged out here.
Okay. Bulged, can you show again how that is when you say here? Palm,
Well, it's concave here, like pressed in, and the bulge is the side of it bulged out. I don't know what made that happen, but it just, and then they curve in towards each other.
all right. At the present time, do you take any pain medication to help with your pain?
I do not.
Do you do any kind of, you already described kind of holding the finger, but do you do anything in terms of exercising or motion in it, strengthening, anything like that you're doing?
On a regular basis, I just do this, just to keep those fingers limber. I guess I'll probably do that forever, just to
Okay.
keep them limber.
Now, let's go back to work. You've talked about, just in general, in the deli, that you do have some discomfort on cold, but on a daily basis, describe for us what goes on with that finger in terms of discomfort and that kind of thing.
In the deli?
Yeah.
Well, it can ache all day because I'm in the cold all day. So I'm handling lunch meat, I'm flipping bowls. All the bowls are in the refrigerated section of the deli case. The bowls are cold. The salads I put in the bowls are cold. The lunch meat is cold. I have to go in freezers and coolers to restock. And I just have to do what I have to do right now because that's my job. So just get used to the aching and you just put up with it, I guess.
I'm going to put on the screen what is admitted as Exhibit 12, which is where you added together the 78 days of your lost time from work. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you calculated that at $3,174.95.
I believe so.
And then what we have as Exhibit 7 is a listing of the medical charges that were incurred following this injury.
Yes.
Okay, aside from your work life, you have an ordinary life with, you mentioned your 3 children and that kind of thing. How does your finger and hand injury impact you in your non-work life?
Well, other than I hold on to it, I'm cautious since, how bad it looks. I'm a girl, I'm a vain girl. I tend to be vain. I care about how I look, and I can't fix that. So daily, I just try to function the best I can because there's some things you can't change. So, and other than the cold sensitivity and the numbness and tingling, those are things every day.
All right. Have you tried to work out since this incident happened?
Yes,
And you do that.
I do.
Have you tried to tan again since this incident happened?
I tried to get over my fear from the trauma that happened. I went one time after at fuel and I couldn't even close the door. My heart felt like it was going to get out of my chest, and I said, I don't have to overcome that fear. Not then. And the only other time I tanned after that was when my middle son Benjamin was getting married, and I had a bronze dress. I loved the dress, and I tried it on for him because it was his wedding, and he said, "Mom, you look a whole lot better in that dress if you had some color." And it was October was his wedding, and there's no sun. I would have laid out and gotten a tan outside if I could have, but I did find a salon in Crown Point, and I made them explicitly show me everything about that tanning bed. I told her what had happened to me, and she couldn't believe it. And she showed me the bed, and she said, "There is nothing here that's exposed that could hurt anybody." And it was a lay-down bed at that time.
Karen, words.
And so I
Yeah, we gotta wait, we have a malfunction.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here.